Hello, everybody. This is Tamara Childs with Ruth McCants for your weekly energy update. And yes, today we're a little bit in costume. This is the moon in Aquarius today, and we're getting ready for the sun to move into Aquarius. Yay! Today is the 18th of January, 2018. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Ruth.
Good morning, Tamara. Really good to see you in your lovely new hairdo.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe this might be the Pallas Athena in
Yeah, I think so. That very
Aquarius.
much looks like Pallas Athena. I
Yeah,
think she would.
yeah, she's feeling like that, and if
Yeah.
I can keep myself from playing too much with her. Um, so we're going to talk about the weekly energy. Now this is a shifty moment for a lot of us because, like we said, the moon's in Aquarius. We have and the sun is about to move into the Aquarian sphere and kind of highlight that humanitarian vibe that we get. What else do we have going on in the skies that we want to mention to people for this week?
Well, when you're talking about the humanitarian, you also we have to remember that once it goes into Aquarius, it's that whole group vibe too. Everybody is wanting to connect with each other because Aquarius loves that. It's an air sign, so there's going to be that part of the communication. So let's see today, and that I can see why you're communicating with your new do.
Yes.
Since it's the moon, and the moon is also about the feminine, the lunar. It kind of connects to Venus, and Venus is in its last bit of Aquarius. So
isn't Venus?
Oh, no. It's going into Aquarius. It's coming into Aquarius.
So we're going to have a lot of Aquarian energy by next week. We're going to have a lot more Aquarian energy, and that's interesting because our South Node is in Aquarius. So some of the, it's been interesting. I've been feeling this percolation in the society, in the culture, with a lot of the Aquarian conversations that we've been having. And I want to just mention something very interesting. So I met up with, there's an Aquarian that I know who is more on the conservative end of things. And we met up yesterday. And the funny thing about Aquarius is no matter where you find an Aquarian energy, an Aquarian sun, moon, or rising, these are people who want to revolutionize something. And so it's funny because I knew this person years ago, and she was very sort of wild and, into rock and roll and doing all kinds of different things. And now in her, 15, 20 years later, she's much more conservative, involved with a conservative religious organization, and even getting the feathers ruffled there, because that's just kind of her nature. And I just said, oh, you're just an Aquarius, you're rattling people's cages, and that's what this energy does to us.
Absolutely.
So I just mention that.
Mm-hmm. And depending on where it sits in your chart, you could, there are people, for example, I'm kind of an honorary Aquarian because I have Aquarius at the very top of my chart. So that means Uranus is basically dealing with that 10th house kind of energy, which is collective society. So I can't help myself in terms of when things, when people say, well, let's just stay in the status quo. I can't help myself. I have to kind of rattle things around a bit.
Yeah. Yes. So wherever people watching, and we'll, of course, as we move into the Aquarian month, we will talk more about where we have Aquarius in our charts and how that influences us and what we like to do there and where the rebel comes out, or because Uranus is the creating the unexpected, and it's also related to what we receive as a lightning bolt from above or from the heavenly sphere. It's very inspired in that way, like you get knocked on the head. You think of those stories that have been written, and I'm forgetting the names of these people. I think there's Betty Eadie and oh, I'm not remembering his name right now, but he had been in the military. Anyway, he was struck by lightning twice,
Oh,
and
wow.
both while he was, I think
Hmm.
both while he was on the phone, and it caused him to have this awakening in his consciousness where he died and came back to life and
Hmm.
came back with messages. And that is very Uranian. It's very much the, being hit by the lightning bolt from the higher sphere and receiving insight that wasn't previously there. So Aquarius has that quality.
And as you speak about the lightning bolt,
Mhm.
I don't guess it doesn't have to be as dramatic, but each one of us somewhere we have to push the envelope. There comes a time when Aquarius basically says you got to stand up for something, and the status quo has to be changed, and that's how we make innovations, because that's a key word. The whole tech thing is innovation.
Yeah. Very much. That is innovative. And it's interesting because this Aquarian that I met up with holds some unpopular views sometimes, with other people around, but this person is just very clear that um, someone has to tell that truth,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
she's willing to do it. And that's an interesting thing about Aquarius too. Even though it's the sign of society and mass consciousness and what's innovative for mass consciousness, um, uh, there's a part of the Aquarian sun, especially, and sometimes the moon, I guess, that just doesn't mind shocking a little, the shock value, and they're just like, yep, this is it, and let the chips fall where they may. So they know, it's like they're embodying that role of being the person who shocks people into new awareness about something, even if it's unpopular.
Well, you being sun sign Aquarius, and even today with your new do, nobody. It was a great surprise to see you pop out with a new hairdo. You see, that's very Aquarian, and
Yes, yes.
there you are. You're embodying your
Yeah.
sun. Hmm.
Well, thank you for that. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I'd like to share the cards that I got, and you'll know why in just a second.
Okay.
The first card that I got for everybody is Mother Goddess.
Oh, we got that last week.
Yes.
Oh, well, I pulled it last week.
You did.
Yes.
And so guys, this is a card it reminds me a little bit in the tarot of the World card, just the higher consciousness, the big picture. What does your soul know? I recently did a reading with someone, and in readings, sometimes we're reading more for the personality and that sort of myopic viewpoint of, I've got this problem and that problem, and I don't know what to do this week about this decision. And sometimes we read from the perspective of the being, which is a much broader perspective. And that's sort of what that person was calling me to do, is to really take a big look at this person's life. And I think that's what this card is saying too, is that your higher self has a very broad perspective of everything that you're living. Yeah. And if you can feel that just for a moment, it'll be very reassuring, especially if you think on the personality level that you don't have all the details worked out.
Well, that's interesting, because the first I'm using today, the tarot, the not mother, medicine woman tarot.
Yeah.
And I have two major arcana cards, and the first one is the Justice, and she calls it balance.
Okay.
Balance card.
Yeah.
But that goes right along with, because it's a major arcana, and it's taking a look at a major issue, which is finding balance between, as you put it, our personality and our soul. And I think that's really what's going on here. How do we each look out? Because personality is our outer personality and who sees us. And then our soul, of course, is very much connected to receiving from that cosmos. So, yeah.
And I want to mention too that for people watching, if you're feeling like you don't have your life together right now, sometimes we're literally not seeing the biggest picture of
Mhm.
our life. And sometimes you're like, a friend today shared, this person's a painter, shared a little part of his painting. It was just like a part of the bigger picture, so you could zoom in and just look at it. And that's sometimes what we're doing, is we're working the fine brush strokes on one piece, and we don't know the whole thing. And all you
Absolutely.
have to do is have faith and work on that one little corner that's yours right now.
And I want to bring up the next card.
Yeah.
The 15 is the Capricorn card. It's in the traditional deck. It's called the Devil.
Yeah.
Um, in this deck, it's called the Trickster. But again, I'm glad you said what you said. We part of overcoming, quote unquote, because there is no we don't have devil. If you turn the card around, it says lived. But in great part, we try to control what I call the great mystery,
Mm-hmm.
and we cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
We can, as you just pointed out, we don't know all of the parts
Yeah.
that are wanting to come to us. But if we say it has to be this way, we stop our own balancing.
Yeah, and sometimes when there's some confusion present, like you said, that card is about perspective. You turn it around
Mm-hmm.
and it's lived, and the other side is
Mm-hmm.
devil.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's funny because you know what's coming to mind is the devil's in the details. Sometimes we get stuck in details and we
Absolutely.
forget that it's still just we're living our lives and problem solving as we go. And it's what feels good to you in the moment. Like, sometimes people feel like they have to push forward when they need to rest. That's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if it doesn't feel good to you, if you're shooting on yourself, then it's not what this part of the tapestry is asking for you to work on. You're meant to be working on what does feel good to you.
Well,
Um,
Tamara, I'm going to ask you to say that again, because
yeah.
that's a very important thing you just brought up
Mhm.
about pushing the river
Yeah.
when you need to just be in the boat and let the gentle waves take you
Yeah.
down the river. Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've said that, on the radio over the past how many years now. Just don't feel like you have to push the river. If
Mm-hmm.
something's not coming forward, um, it's an indication that either it's not ready for you yet, or you're not ready for it. And just be with wherever you are, because then it'll change more
Right.
quickly. Which brings me to another card you're going to like, because it's familiar: relaxation.
I brought that card up last week too.
I'm telling you, these are the cards I
Right.
got before we
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
on today.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about, usually I get this card when I'm pushing too hard or feeling stressed. And this card really says, you have been putting the pedal to the metal, quit it, relax, and be at ease, because a lot of the things that we set in motion are in motion
Right.
kind of behind the scenes, like a computer program. Like, you've already
Mm-hmm.
put these into motion. Relax and let them do their processing.
And as you bring that up,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like I love this book. Her name is Barbara Moore, but she's from Germany.
Mm.
And she has a book called The Cosmic Ordering Service. And she says along the lines that you ask the universe for a certain thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you put your order in, but it's like going to UPS every single day and calling up and saying, did you put my, did you bring my package? Have you sent it out yet? And you keep
Yeah.
calling them up.
Yeah.
And they finally, they just said, we don't know where your package is. And so that's a very marvelous point. We have to have patience
Mm-hmm.
to let the behind the scenes work. And that's where the relaxation comes in.
Oh, I mean, we can't say this enough times, because part of this is that, I went through a period in my life years ago. This was in my early 20s, where I was very frustrated with life. For whatever reason, I just felt like life wasn't as instantaneous as I wanted it to be, or it just, it's like there was a part of me early in my life that expected things to just appear. Literally, I think I really wanted instant gratification, even back then, And I remember just feeling frustrated and I felt like I was asking. And even back then, I had learned that, to ask the universe,
Yes.
Ask God.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became very frustrated that I thought God wasn't listening to me. And part of that had to do with an inability at that time to accept where I was in my development at that time. Where is my life? What is actually going on? And what can I accept about this? And I wasn't very relaxed. It's like I felt like I had to keep asking. And a lot of us will do that. We'll keep asking. It's as if we're in a restaurant saying, did you, like you said, are my pancakes ready? Are my pancakes ready? Mm-hmm. And the waitress gets tired of hearing that. Mm-hmm. And says they'll be ready when they're ready.
And marvelous point, because that's exactly how life works. Mm-hmm. The behind the scenes has to do whatever it's doing to bring our whatever we've desired into fruition, into manifestation. And you're right, it won't happen until it's its own time. And if we nullify it, it will never happen.
Right, and the nullification can come in when we lose faith that we've already put things into motion. I mean, I know people who are watching this know there have been moments when we lose faith and we think, oh, well, maybe the universe didn't hear me because I don't have it yet. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to the universe nodding wisely to everything you say. You say, I don't have it yet. I don't have it yet. And the universe says, okay, you don't have it yet.
Yes.
And it's like, oh. But, it's so interesting, this conversation. You and I don't plan this out. We never know quite where the energy is going to take us. And we just ask before the show that the highest information come through for those who might watch this and need it. Because I got achievement as my card. And what this tells me, as you can see from the image, things, again, are already set in motion. Many things, we are architects on the energy level before things show up for us in real life.
Love that, Tamara. Architects on the energetic level. Yeah. Architects of creation. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we are creating things that don't always appear immediately, and that doesn't mean they're not created. That doesn't mean that we're not effective. And this is a little bit of a forecast card to me that those watching this should look for a period of achievement, that there's something coming to fruition for you that you can relax about and see the big picture about, and just start to welcome it. There's actually there's a visualization sometimes I give my clients, especially when something's sort of already on the way or you want something to be on the way. You stand downstream in a river. It's a river that comes infinitely toward us, and you let this thing come and float toward you. And
wonderful.
Yeah, I think this is one of those weeks for people.
Well, I think I have the summarization of the card, because this is the Three of Stones. And if you can see there we go. You see the little plants that have been planted.
Okay.
And we cannot make them grow any faster.
Yeah.
And we all have these seeds that have been planted. And just like we were making reference, if we go and dig them up, we will never get whatever it is that they are holding, this harvest right here. And 3, of course, is creativity. And I think that creativity is between us and nature, her very self. Because whatever it is we're desiring has to have time to incubate. Then it goes into that, as you were pointing out earlier, you have to trust, because when it goes into the ground, we can't see it anymore. And we have to trust that it's going to come back up and we're going to have our harvest. So I think your achievement card and this card, they're telling us, and you're right, a little forecasting there.
Yeah.
If we plan it, we have to trust that it will reveal itself to us.
That's right. And just to jog off of what you just said, Ruth, you are talking about planting in nature, and just as that is true, that there is the natural world, there is also, each of us has our own nature. And this goes back to, the conversation about Aquarians and Pisceans and Aries people and Capricorns and, everybody else, that you have a nature, and it's almost like a promise that your nature will reveal itself.
Yes, of course it will.
And what is most important to you is coming. It's coming because that's who you are, and you've planted it. And this is, it's a promise that each of us is flowering and going to have who we are.
Well, I like the card because it's just what you said. Metaphorically, each one of us plants our desires, our wishes, our intentions.
Yeah.
And the magic is the fact that we put it in that very incubating state, and we don't see anything. And then magically, we see a little bud start to rise. We get signs and symbols that it's coming, but we have to pay attention.
It's even like pregnancy. Many women have said that they know the minute they become pregnant, even though you don't see anything for a while, but you just know the chemistry in your life has changed. Something's different in your body. And it's the same with this stuff, that there is a chemistry that I want people to be aware of this week, of this achievement and how you can relax into the bigger blueprint of your life and just really feel some satisfaction coming to you about this achievement. Now, Ruth, we're out of time. I'm going to be away next week, but we are still going to try to do our energy update if we can. We can't promise. We'll have to see how internet and everything holds up, but we'll see next week. Anything else you want to tell people before we go?
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job today of covering some essentials. Be easy with what is going on in your life. That, I think that's really, really the important message is not to get caught up in what everybody else says. And Aquarians can do that really well. On one hand, as you pointed out, it's about the collective society, but at the same time, it's about be easy with what you're asking of yourself.
Yeah.
That's my final word today.
I love it. Be easy and just actually know that it's already set in motion. So, hey, enjoy ahead of time. Just get ready with anticipation. So that's our show for this week. I hope it was helpful to all of you.
Yes.
Have a wonderful new moon. No, not new moon. Sun in Aquarius moment.
Right.
On Friday. Right. And we will talk to you very soon.
Yes. See you.
Bye.